Hello, everyone. This is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax, along with Ali from Remax. You can find that contact information in the description box, as well as ask us any questions you have. And yeah, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. If you don't know about this podcast, this is the Above Asking podcast. We talk about real estate matters as related to Toronto, but in general, we talk about finance, business, and sometimes we get into arguments where I win and he loses. So
You're right. That's what he thinks.
So, Ali, I thought this week, first off, we can touch base on how our business is going, what we're doing in our personal businesses with buyers, sellers, or anything like that. But let's discuss an interesting matter that I actually talked about on my own channel and obviously going to talk about here is a recent report and some stats that I went based upon to compare the 2017 prices in Toronto, which was the peak prices for most regions in the GTA, versus the 2020 prices as we know of them in August of 2020, which is the most recent stats we have access to. So before we go into it, what do you think? How do you think they match up, the 2020 prices, 2017 prices? What are your inclinations before we actually dig deep into the report and stats?
Well, as a person that I don't necessarily like numbers, but I track them and look at them quite regularly, I do know that the average prices of properties reported through the Toronto Real Estate Board, or I should say Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, because now we have they've always been reported through there, but I guess they did some sort of a rebranding. The average prices, as reported through TREB once again, are actually higher than the peak of 2017. I think they're at $952,000 on average across TREB, and the peak of 2017, I think it was March or April, and the average price at that point was $930,000. Now keep in mind, this is averages across TREB. Every neighborhood obviously had different average prices. Every city, every community, every street, and so forth and so forth. Now, back in 2017, areas like Richmond Hill, I think Oakville, Vaughan, Markham reached all-time highs. However, this year, I don't think that's necessarily the case because of what happened back then. I think at that point, some people got caught in the whirlwind of multiple offers and increasing prices, and so I guess they jumped in at that time, and they're a bit more cautious now. Once again, the average price is now higher, but not every neighborhood has certainly peaked or has exceeded that of their 2017 averages. Now, I don't know specifically what neighborhoods. I know that Vaughan is doing pretty well. So is Richmond Hill. But I don't think they're as high as they once were, especially Richmond Hill, because I think most of the properties here are still considered luxury compared to many different neighborhoods across the GTA, like Mississauga, Brampton, Pickering, Ajax. There's certainly luxury properties there, but I think Richmond Hill, Oakville are considered as luxury neighborhoods, and so when it comes to stuff like that, most people are a little bit more cautious, and they are a bit more hesitant to jump in and put in, absurd prices like we kind of experienced in 2017. So that's just my initial outlook, but I haven't seen this report. Curious to see what it says.
So just to make a point of differentiation here. So when we go based on the Toronto Regional, the TREB reports and stats, and as Ali just stated, those are just the stats for all property types.
Yes,
right?
all property types across all regions reported through TREB.
This report and these numbers that I am going based on and we are going based on are just for detached homes. So obviously that does not include semi-detached, attached, townhomes, condominiums of any kind. It does not include those, right? So these are just for detached homes. And since you didn't mention that though, your guess is correct, right? We are seeing a dip from the 2007 peak This is important, not from 2019 or 2018, August to August, whatever, month to month, but from the 2017 peak, we have seen a dip in areas, and I'll include a link to this report in the description box. But Newmarket, Georgina, for instance, Richmond Hill, downtown Toronto, Midtown Toronto, Toronto East, Toronto West, really anywhere that's central, somewhat central, maybe even a little bit of on the borders of what you would consider central by Yonge and Bathurst. Anywhere central, it still hasn't reached the levels that we saw in 2017, right? So just to give you some numbers, for instance.
Well, hold on. One thing I just want to make clear is that there might have been a dip, but that doesn't necessarily mean that these areas where the prices have exceeded 2017, their prices are higher than places like Richmond Hill or Toronto.
Come again, sorry?
I'm saying that the places where the prices have exceeded 2017 doesn't necessarily mean that those properties, those detached properties, are worth more than detached properties in Richmond Hill or the Toronto area.
Oh, of course, yes. Right? That's important to note that
the average price of properties in Richmond Hill, I think, is still somewhere around 1.3, 1.5 million, whereas a detached property in Pickering, you can pick one up for 800 to 900,000 or low 900s. So I want to just make that distinction there.
Yeah,
so,
that's an important distinction to make. Just because, for instance, as we will get, first I want to establish the places that are not lower. Yeah. Then we'll talk about the locations that are higher. They are at their peak. But yeah, just to fast forward quickly, those locations that are currently at their peak, as Ali pointed out, they're still lower than central locations such as Richmond Hill and North York and Midtown and downtown, right? So, for instance, let's talk about City of Toronto, which is considered Central Toronto, East Toronto, and West Toronto, right? The average detached price in August in let's say Toronto Central was $2.3 million, right? That's $117,000 difference from the price at which it was at in 2020. So that's a 5% decrease, right? And by the way, just to say, I'm not saying that any of this is good or bad, right? These are just the facts of the matter. Now, if you want to expand upon that, and with regards to if you think this is a good thing or a bad thing, you feel free to do that. I'm just stating the facts, right? Because I don't necessarily think it's realistic for prices to just be at peaks at all times, right? This is somewhat of a correction in the market. At the same time, I can see other arguments from the other side of it. But
well, I don't want to say, I don't necessarily agree that it's a correction in the market. I think it's just people are looking to buy elsewhere. Then there's a distinction between that, where people are looking at different areas and the market correcting itself. Because if it's a correction in the market, then I think all areas would be affected equally, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas people are just looking to buy elsewhere now. But I also, I haven't seen this report, and I don't know what the methodology and what numbers what they use.
I think we're about to say the same thing, but go ahead.
That's one thing I just want to...
they're usually going based on their TREP numbers.
Yeah, but closed, properties that have actually, or they're just firm sales, closed.
I think they're just sold.
Just sold, so yeah. Firm sales.
Yeah, it is no conditional sales.
And are they considering linked properties as detached as well? So
I think they're just going
stuff like that, right?
That's true.
Or do they have rural properties, like you have an old bungalow on
well, that's detached.
Yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily bring that into the equation with a regular cookie cutter home in
yeah, let's say you're doing it.
Right?
Let's say you're
Richmond
for instance,
Hill. You have a lot of these neighborhoods, Westbrook, et cetera, that have kind of like standard homes, but then you also have rural neighborhoods. Even in Richmond Hill, you can go and buy, a 70 by 300 foot lot or even bigger. There's an old bungalow house on it, and that can somehow sway or change the numbers.
Yes.
Now in Pickering, I think you have or Ajax, if you go north, rural Pickering, rural Ajax, you have even more of those kinds of properties. So are these subdivision prices, or is this
just all detached homes?
That'll sway that. That'll.
Well, no, obviously, I don't think this. I also have my own issues with this report, which I will discuss later.
So then let's just scrap it.
No, but no report, no study is going to be perfect. This is what you do. You take.
I get that, but so
you take certain studies and certain reports, and you see what they all say, and you take them at aggregate. You see, okay, what is the consensus, and insofar as I could form a consensus, with putting aside the minor differences here. So this is always what I say. I say studies and reports, depending on their methodology. Let's say the methodology is average at best. You have a couple of problems where you think it's largely okay. They can point you to the right direction. They can definitely give you a general area of where you should look at and where things are headed. They won't give you the specific answer, right? So I think even though one issue I have with this report that I thought I was going to discuss later, but since you brought it up now, it's that wasn't a shot, by the way. I would just say.
I know. I keep jumping the gun, but anyway.
Yeah, you sometimes you jump the gun. You go way too fast. You don't take your time. It's all about the pace. It's not about the speed.
That was a low blow, right?
No, I'm just saying that was a joke. Yeah, but so one problem I have with this report is that, for instance, this is just an example, right? If you look at, let's go back to Toronto, shall we? Let's go back to City of Toronto, which is Toronto West, Toronto Central, Toronto East. So they're comparing the August month, so 1 month for all this, which is August, to different months in the year 2017, right? So for instance, here we have Toronto West is compared to June, Toronto Central is compared to February 2017, whereas Toronto East is compared to July 2017. Here it says, go ahead, yeah.
Did they say why?
Well, because it makes sense, because the whole inquiry is comparing to the peaks. So Toronto Central, maybe the peak of the detached home prices was in August, whereas Toronto East, it was July, right? So that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is then they average it out. So let's go to York Region. So what we have is the Aurora peak was April 2017. The King peak, King City, was actually 2016, October of 2016, and Richmond Hill was April. So they give the different prices, different percentage points in which it's lower than the peak, but at the end of the day, they do a whole entire average for the York region, and then they do a percentage drop for the average of the entirety of York region. So to me, when you're doing on specific cases, comparing August to different months, but on the larger case, which is the entire region, which consisted of these specific cases, and you're comparing it to the total thing, but these specific cases are different months and different percentage points and drops, that's a little weird to me. That doesn't give you an accurate answer. I hope did I communicate that to you well enough for you to understand what my problem is?
Yeah, and likewise, I have the same problem. I don't understand what the logic and reason behind that methodology was. It doesn't make sense to me at all. That you would you're comparing the current averages to various average or peaks in the past from 2016, 2015 perhaps even, and different months in 2017, and then they averaged all of those peaks together and compared the price today to the average of all the peaks,
which was in different months. Yes.
Yeah,
so insofar as they compare,
statistically that makes no sense even.
Insofar as they compare, let's say Richmond Hill August to 1 month, whereas let's say it's here Richmond Hill is April, and they compare, for instance, King City to a March, I'm okay with that, because they're comparing the peak, they're comparing the stats of 2020 to where it was the peak, so that makes perfect sense to me. The averaging part, at the end of the day, what they do, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I have an issue with that.
So, putting that aside...
Did they explain why they did that at all?
They might have. I just didn't really go into the methodology. And typically, it's not an academic report.
It's Zoocasa.
I don't expect them to go to... Why are you hating, man? Zoocasa. Zoocasa, Mikasa. Let's go, man. Let's go.
No.
But
Zoocasa, your
what does Zoocasa have a bad reputation I'm not aware of?
I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about anyone.
No, You're not saying anything
and
bad.
dealing with some of their agents, I'm just like, okay.
You're not saying anything bad. You're saying what reputation they have. It's not in your mind. It's what generally exists out there, separate from your thoughts. So, just go ahead. I'm wondering what is like the reputation Zoocasa has typically.
I can't speak for the general public and what the outlook is on Zoocasa. It's just I've dealt with some of their agents, and I think I might be wrong on this, but I think they're discount brokerage, if I'm not mistaken.
They are. Well, I think they are. But I was saying, tell me what the reputation is to give you that separation, so you can actually say what.
Listen,
your
I just feel like in my interactions,
let you cover your
some
back.
of their agents are just not as knowledgeable about the market and how to navigate and conduct themselves in the real estate business.
Yeah, yes.
And I'll just leave it at that.
And we're not saying all Zoocasa agents.
I am. I'm kidding, I'm not.
So to continue though, our problems with the methodology aside, York Region, let's just stick with that. Once again, York Region as total is down 11% from peak months. Aurora 15%, Richmond Hill 17%, Newmarket 13%, right? So what we're seeing is City of Toronto, York Region, very central locations. Even though yes, they do wander a bit east, wander a little bit west. But when you compare the entirety of the GTA, even Toronto East is central still, right? When you're comparing to the Ajax, Pickering, Whitby, that's central. Scarborough is central compared to those regions, right? Same with the westbound areas. So, but here's the thing, though. What you see in this report is those very far west and east locations. Once again, Pickering, Ajax, Burlington, Oakville, Milton, Brampton. I'm surprised Brampton and Mississauga are part of this, by the way. But
that they've exceeded.
They are at their peaks.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Well, Mississauga to me is still Mississauga to me is still somewhat central. Not really, not in your opinion.
Like central, like that would make Richmond Hill central as well.
That would make it. I'm saying Richmond Hill is central.
Oh, you're saying they are central, Richmond Hill.
Yeah, that's the entire. Okay. I've been saying this entire podcast so far.
I zoned out.
York Region area is central. Okay. In my opinion.
Yes.
Like Richmond Hill is, yes, you can, like, obviously it goes east and west. It's not central as like Toronto Central, quote unquote, where the subway line is in North York, but Richmond Hill is still, compared to Pickering and Whitby, is still central.
Yeah, I think Pickering is not as far as you think, right? So I guess if we're estimating time or travel time or distance to get, what's central to you, like DVP and 401?
Yeah.
So you can get from Pickering to that place, depending on traffic, 15, 20 minutes.
Bayview, Bathurst, Yonge.
Yeah.
Dufferin even, I would say, is central.
Yeah.
Dufferin, but if you live on Dufferin and Eglinton, they call it Eglinton West. They don't say Eglinton Center. But even though it's still west,
it's central Toronto.
Yeah, it's central. Sorry, I had my mic off while I was saying that last bit. So I was saying that Pickering, Eglinton West, for instance, even though it's west, it's still central to me because we're comparing it to things even further west, right?
Yeah,
further far out and the outskirts of the city. So, point being, though, all of these outskirts we're talking about, once again, I'll go through the list: Whitby, Oshawa, Clarington, Pickering, Mississauga, Burlington, Brampton, Halton Hills, all these, Ennisville, all these locations are now at their peak prices, right? Which, to me, has to do with the fact that, and I've said this in the past, and I don't know if you agree with this, that
I don't.
You don't agree with what I'm about to say? That right now, what we're seeing is the kind of an exodus from the central locations of the city because, A, people want affordability, and affordability no longer comes at a cost of proximity to work because most people are going to work from home. Maybe they'll go to the office once to 2 times a week as Ali has said in the past, which is a really good point, I think. But mostly people are going to work from home, and they just, if you want the detached home, they can't get in the city. They don't have to worry about the commute. Why not just go to Pickering? Why not go to Ajax or Whitby, right? So
You can get bigger land, or you can get bigger homes, bigger lot sizes, and potentially a home with a pool in it. I had a client that was looking out there, and a couple of properties that had pools in them, or pools in the backyard, not in the house, but in the backyard, sold under $1 million. You'd be hard pressed to find a property like that in Toronto, Richmond Hill, Vaughan, at under $1 million with a pool. So that's, I agree 100% with what you're saying. Affordability no longer dictates. So what did you say about affordability?
I'm saying affordability no more. Sorry?
Something about the city, you said.
I know. I speak very well. I have good vocabulary. I'm very poetic in my language.
Handsome Sam is very...
I said affordability no longer comes at a cost of proximity to work.
Right,
meaning
that's it. Yeah.
It's no longer, you're not sacrificing your commute, how close you are to work just to be able to afford something. You can actually have your cake and eat it too, right? You can have... You can have your cake, eat it too, have a food fight, do whatever you want. But yeah, that's the matter of a fact, in my opinion. Not to say, though, once again, as Ali pointed out, doesn't mean a detached property in Whitby costs more than a detached property in Richmond Hill or North York. By no means is that the case. It's not even close to being the case, right? The central locations are still the most expensive. That's the reason people are moving out, because the central locations are still the most expensive. Yeah, so
not much more to add. Like, I agree with you on that. People just want more space, and it's cheaper to buy it in Pickering, Whitby, Ajax, Mississauga, Brampton, and elsewhere. So
that's for sure. Now, this doesn't account for condos. Once again, semi-detached, detached, townhomes.
This is just detached homes.
But I don't suspect that. Like, I have a client, and this is, I guess, where we can actually kind of shift into talking about what it's new with us personally, or not personally, but business-wise.
What's happening in your personal life, son?
Well,
tell us. That's
a different podcast. That's we have to charge for that one.
Ooh.
Well, we have to charge for yours too, man. Like,
no, mine is there's nothing going on. It's boring. So
yeah,
that's
not true. Look at you,
boring life here.
You call me Handsome Sam, but it's only because you're my mentor, and I look.
Get out of here. Stop the nonsense.
I look after my mentor, and I copy what he does. Yeah. That's the only reason I'm handsome. So, as Ali gets a phone call, we're going to take a quick break, okay? We'll be right back.
Cheers.
So, we're back. And as I was about to say, this actually can lead into us talking about our personal business right now, because I was about to say that although this is the study for detached homes, I suspect that semi-detached and attached properties, such as townhomes, are not trailing that much back further from these trends for detached properties, right? I think there's a pretty direct correlation and connection where if the detached properties are trending one way, I think the semi and the townhomes are not trailing any further than that. I don't think there is any opposite reverse trends happening with those. And I don't know, do you agree with that?
Well, without looking at the numbers, I can't really comment much.
Well, I've looked at the numbers, to be fair, because I was doing some research this morning for a client of mine. But go ahead.
Well, then I'll take your word for it.
I was looking at the numbers for a specific area, to be fair, but not the entirety of... Sorry, not the entirety of the GTA.
I do think that semis and towns probably are outpacing. No, actually, I'm not. Once again, I can't really say I haven't looked at the numbers, but is there an indirect correlation between the two? I don't know. I think that people that are still living in townhomes or buying townhomes don't necessarily want to go too far out of the core or central GTA in order to buy that townhome. I think most of them still kind of want to be in and around that area. It's only when they want to get into a detached property that you can get more land and more property for your dollar than you can with townhomes. Because you can pick up a townhome, I think, in Richmond Hill at around $850 to $9, and even in Stouffville, it'll cost you somewhere around the same price range. In Vaughan, once again, kind of the same price range. But Pickering Ajax, yeah, maybe 50,000 less. I don't know if
So wait, are you
it's
talking?
that
Sorry,
much of a price difference between Pickering and like Stouffville.
I kind of zoned out. Sorry, my apologies.
No problem.
As you zoned out earlier on me, but
You can take a nap if you want.
I
I have
got
a
up
boring
really,
voice. I have a very monotone.
I got up very, very early this morning. Sorry, that's how
Who
hard.
woke you up?
No, I just got up
What woke
intentionally
you up?
early
Oh,
because
okay.
I work really hard around the clock for my clients. But no, that's true. I was up like 7 a.m. doing research on some stuff. But
Handsome Sam.
so were you talking about semi-detached or townhomes when you said those figures?
Towns.
You said towns you can get how much for in Richmond Hill? You said $879. What?
Mid eights to high.
You can
eights,
get
nines.
cheaper in Richmond Hill for towns, for sure. You can get in the 700s. Yeah.
Unless it's a condo townhouse.
Yeah, it's a condo townhouse.
Oh,
But
hold up, we're talking about freehold.
no. Well, I guess we are talking about freehold. But
Yo.
a condo townhouse for sure you can get. Yeah.
Yeah, condo townhouse, sure. A stacked townhouse, sure. But we're talking about your standard.
Then once
freehold.
again, what do you mean by stacked townhouse?
A stacked townhouse is like where there's two townhomes on top of each other.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm saying legit.
A row townhouse
Yeah.
with condo fees of
Yeah.
maybe $400 to $600 a month.
Yes.
Are selling
And a
in around that
POTL fee sometimes. Yeah.
POTLs they're going more than that.
Yeah.
They're in the eights.
But yeah,
Because
so point being,
the fee there is maybe $100. So
I
they
thought we were
consider
just
those
talking
as
about
freehold.
the property type. I don't know. Realized like, I guess I'm just saying townhomes you can get if you get a condo townhome you can get it cheaper than eights in Richmond Hill. But point is, I know for a fact semi-detached. There's a couple of properties that you can get freehold semi-detached in Toronto, Central Toronto, for the for the low 800s.
What neighborhood?
A CO7. There's some semi-detaches you can get for the 800s.
What's the condition of those properties?
Well, clearly they're not that new. They're
Right.
semi-detached or pretty old, but
And they
still.
need a lot of work on the inside, I presume.
No, some of them I've been in. Not a lot of work, but you got some touch up. I'm not trying to be funny for sure, but
That's a lot of work.
point being though, yeah, keep going. Sorry, I just wanted to make those comments. You were saying.
I kind of finished what I had to say about that. My point was, I think that freehold townhomes, not with condo fees, freehold townhomes, there isn't much of a price gap between places like not Bradford, Stouffville, and like Pickering. They're within $40,000 to $50,000, maybe cheaper in Pickering than they are in Bradford, than they are in Stouffville. So, if somebody can afford up to that price range, I think most people will still rather live in probably like Stouffville compared to Pickering Ajax, and likewise, Vaughan compared to Pickering Ajax, unless something's pulling them in that direction, like other family, community, church, specific schools. Although nothing really pops up in terms of schools that would want to attract somebody to Pickering Ajax compared to Vaughan.
Once again, that's not necessarily true because I know for a fact Pickering, not Pickering or Ajax, but Whitby, which is kind of the same area.
Is there a top-rated school over
Yeah,
there?
there are a couple of top-rated schools.
Right. So like I said, nothing's popping off the top of my head, which would drive me to Pickering Ajax for a top-rated school. Perhaps there's one Whitby, Perhaps there's some in Pickering Ajax. I don't know all of the schools.
Only one.
I don't know all of the schools, but like I could say Richmond Hill, Bayview Secondary School is a high school, and it's a highly sought after high school.
Yeah.
In C14, you have Earl Haig and McKee.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all schools that a lot of people
I actually used to go to McKee.
Right. They really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually true.
Don't send your kids to that school.
My first school in Canada was in McKee. We moved to Canada. The first ever school I went to was McKee.
They heard from Iran. Baba, you have to go to the C14. It is very good at school.
But the thing is, I was the first week,
McKee.
the first like month. I promise you, in school, I was from a foreign country, and as a child, I was a bit dim. So I don't know why that's funny to you, but as a child, I was. So even in my original tongue,
now you're foggy.
I would know. I was not the smartest kid. Obviously, I'm not even trying to be funny. I've made major improvements in that field in terms of intelligence since my childhood. But as a kid, a young kid, my focus wasn't on school. I kind of I didn't focus well. I was a bit dim. That, on top of the fact that it's a foreign language, a different country, I'm only here for the first like couple of months. All that combined together, in the first week of McKee, I was just completely confused. I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea why there were girls sitting next to me, what they were saying, where I was going.
There's no other Persian kids at your school?
There actually was not that many.
Come on, you didn't like
I'm grade one.
Sabzi with all the other kids?
No, this is like grade. This is grade. This is grade.
How did your mom make it?
2. This is grade 2. So when you're that young, you're not really. I wasn't a social kid either. You're not really going talking to people.
Kidding, bro. Come on.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
exchanging korma sabzi with other kids, trying other people's kubide and whatnot.
This is
you didn't catch that joke? Jeez.
Oh.
Anyways, still kind of dim.
Still kind of dim, I guess.
Just busting chops.
So no, Pickering for sure, though. I could say, or not Pickering. I don't know why I keep saying Pickering when I mean to say Woodby.
Woodby, yeah.
The case with Woodby is, I was doing some research for my clients, and he has a townhome, and yeah, Woodby right now is close to what's happening to the detached properties. It's trending upwards. Same with the detached properties.
The townhomes are?
Yeah, townhomes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, my client bought his property. I bought it for him. I'm not gonna disclose how much, but definitely less than what he can sell it for now. Way less, far less.
When did he buy it?
He bought it last year. Same, I would say September or October of last year closed.
So what? He's got 50 to 100K on the property.
That's not that's confidential.
We don't know what he paid for it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, something like
it's
that.
It's appreciated
yeah,
by that much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You're not disclosing.
Oh, I thought you said how much he put down. I thought.
No. Either way, it doesn't matter because you haven't disclosed names or addresses. So we can talk numbers. And
I know, but
idea.
He's a very private individual. So in case he sees this, I don't want him to feel like betrayed him. So I'm not going to disclose anything. But yeah, it does. It did definitely appreciate considerable amount. Most other realtors were telling him, hey, you should sell them right now. I just said, hey, this is, if you want to sell, this is what you can sell for, but I would still hold on to it.
What is the objectives?
Objectives are, he actually once told me, Sam, I love money. So I think his objectives are that. I'm actually being facetious a bit though too, because he's a very kind person. You know, I think he was joking with me too. I don't think he was being completely serious. Yeah, facetious. That's a word you should look up. Mm-hmm. I feel like every week you should learn a new word from me. It's gonna expand your vocabulary so much.
Why don't we have a new segment? You know,
new words with Sam.
Yeah, new words with Sam. Handsome Sam.
How about this? That's a good segment. I'll say a new word each week, and you would have to use it in context, in a real estate context. All right,
let's get started on that.
We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it for next week.
Yes. Would you like to see that? If you do, please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like the video.
But But he was being no. All joking aside, though, he was being a little
Facetious.
he was being facetious.
Okay, now what are his objectives? Is it a rental property? Is it a primary residence? Does he want to upsize?
So you're asking me to reveal more and more about the situation.
What difference does it make? I don't know who the guy is.
First off, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I don't think he should sell right now. I think if he holds on to it, it's going to even go even higher. I think
you don't necessarily know how the market's going to react.
I've been studying the market
because
he always asks for update. I've been studying the market for him. I'm pretty certain that he'll be selling a bit short right now, and I don't think he should sell either because he was very happy with the property. He said he wanted to be there for a while. So
primary residence.
Yeah, primary residence.
But it's good.
Also, I have another client in Barrie, and they wanted to sell it a while back. Now is the time to sell, in my opinion, for them. Now there's case. Oof. Come on, man. That's not good.
Great. That threw you off, didn't it?
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. It's also a matter of fact that with this client of mine in Barrie, the property next to them is vacant land, and it's gonna get developed pretty soon. So I also urge them, look, that really affects your plans as well.
Yeah, it could. It could also appreciate after a while.
The construction is going to be major construction. It's not just one. Like it's going to be development.
No, I get that. So it depends what their timeline is. If in the short term, 3, 4, 5 years, it could definitely impact their property value because nobody wants to deal with the construction, the noise, the dust, the dirt, etc., etc. But once all the dust has settled,
no pun intended. Yeah.
And those homes are built, that will help appreciate the value of their property.
No, that is a basic. Like it's the principle of regression.
Years, yes,
that's the principle of regression and progression. Like
so, timeline is really important here.
Timeline is important,
right? That's why.
For what I know of them, they want to sell. They want to move out. They want to upsize. They want to, get a larger property for their family.
Put it on the market ASAP.
That's what I've been telling them, but they just they put it on the market for a bit. We didn't get any traction, but it was in the really, really like the depths and peaks of the COVID crisis, where we didn't even know if we can do showings at all. So that was, but I have to get in touch with them again and see where their head is at and have a conversation with them. Anyways, so anything new with you in terms of your personal business and any new stories, any things going for you? Any not to make you sound desperate. There's a lot of things I know, but how much do you want to reveal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with a couple of buyers right now, and last night we had another meeting with one of our clients where it was our seller client, and we're just going over the market, what's happened in and around that area, showings, the feedback and stuff like that. So that was last night at 8 p.m. and we were there till about 9:45 talking to our client. Just so people understand that not all of our business happens from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, or Saturday, Sunday, open houses 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we're free to go and do whatever we want. No, this was a Sunday night 8 p.m. meeting, which I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't want to do, but that's part of a nature of our business. And so we had that last night, and I'm just dealing with a couple of buyers right now. One of them wants to buy a townhouse anywhere from Stouffville to Vaughan, literally. And the price ranges on average are the mid 8s to low 9s. Stouffville to Vaughan. Richmond Hill, they're a little bit higher, but that's just that's why I'm saying. That's why I said earlier, the detached market. People might be going out and they might be outpacing other areas like in the outskirts, but townhomes. You can go to Newmarket and it's almost the same price, right? I mean, with a difference of maybe 20 to 30,000, but that's not going to make a huge impact on somebody's budget. If you're talking about $100,000 less, then you go to some of the other areas. But otherwise, from Stouffville to Vaughan, Richmond Hill in between, Aurora as well. Somewhere mid eights to low nines. High eights, low nines is kind of where the average price is, depending on the property type and all of that. And then I have somebody else that's looking for a duplex in the East End, Pickering, Ajax, Woodby area. They're investors. They want to pick up another investment property and rent that out. Other than that, I'm working on somebody else to hopefully buy and sell. We're looking for property to purchase, and once we find a property, then we'll be listing their townhome, because I know the townhome will sell fairly quickly compared to the property they're looking to purchase, which is detached.
Where is the townhome?
Townhomes in Vaughan. Yeah. Right near the Jane and Rutherford area.
And do they need the townhome to close to purchase the property?
Yeah. It's just that the property that they're looking for within their budget, there's not many. So it's, in this case, it doesn't make sense to sell. Doesn't make sense to sell and then have my client in a bind to just buy any detached property that meets their criteria and push them into that. So in this case, it makes more sense for them to wait for the right property to come to market, put an offer and buy that, and then put the townhome on the market and sell that a lot faster. So, but some people do the opposite. They'll push your client into, selling, and then, they're given the type of property, the area, and the budget, not a lot might come to market. And then they're forced to, I guess, settle for something that's not ideal, something that they don't necessarily want because they've already sold. And vice versa, sometimes people buy and have a property that may not necessarily move as quickly in this market. And so they're kind of desperate to almost accept anything that comes their way.
So whereabouts are they looking?
They're looking in Vaughan as well, but they want like a 4-bedroom, decent property at like 1.1 or 1.15, where there isn't a whole lot of that.
4-bedroom for 1.5.
1.15.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit difficult for sure.
Right. So that's why we're just gonna wait to see what comes on the market, see a few properties, and if something comes up that they like, put an offer, wrap that up, and then I know their townhouse in that area where their townhouse is. There's precedent. There's other properties that have sold in under a week, in that price range that they're looking at. So I know that the buyers are there, and it shouldn't be that difficult to offload their current home.
Here's the thing. When I work with buyers, I always say, look, this is your ideal location. This is your ideal area. But give me a couple of more areas where I can work with you, kind of massage it over with you to see if you can get the best bang for your buck in those areas that maybe are not your number one choice, but you get a better deal for what you want out of a house and a property. Let's consider those as well. So I always do that because sometimes buyers don't know that they don't know necessarily what's good for them. They know what they want. They don't know there's different routes to getting what they want, right? So if I've had a buyer say, I only want a place in this area, from this block to that block, this intersection to that intersection, that's it. And I say, okay, fine, we'll look there. But at the same time, let's not shut our eyes and close our eyes to other opportunities that exist in the marketplace. We'll take a look at those places as well. I mean, it's, that's what I do. I want to give you the best service. I want you to have the best experience and have the most available options to you to make the best decision, so we can make the best decision for you. So maybe you should do that. You probably have done that, but maybe say, hey, consider this area for 4-bedroom, detached, 2-story. Consider, maybe let's venture out a little bit further east, further west, further north, further south, right? So
they're pretty open. Like, I mean, they want to stay in Vaughan because they currently live there. They have a house there, and the kids know and are comfortable with the area. they're willing to go from Dufferin, Rutherford, up to like Tesson Road, all the way west to like Weston Road. So once again, Tesson down to Rutherford. So it's a pretty big block or a lot of area to cover. It's just that not a whole lot of properties are in the market at that price point. If I was to go up to 1.2, 1.3, there would be a lot more options. But in any event, I had that conversation with him, and for the time being, because we just started, they kind of want to just wait and see what comes up what comes up in that area. I had a bit of gas.
For sure. I think you're very hungry, as you've mentioned multiple
Quite
times.
hungry, yes. I did go to the gym this morning, and I could eat half a horse.
What time did you go to the gym?
I got to the gym at about 8 a.m. Cool. Yeah, about 8 a.m. And because of this podcast, I cut my gym time short. So you people out there, you're welcome.
What did you do? Did you hit?
It was just chest.
You hit chest,
yeah.
No legs?
Be squatting tomorrow.
So you're back to it like 7 days a week or 5 days a week? Because for the longest time, you used to be a bodybuilder. People don't know that about you. People don't know they're not aware of your...
I think you've mistaken me for a common friend that we have.
Well, no, you're not...
not a bodybuilder.
You're not back at it? Or are you back at it 5 days a week?
Currently, yes. Because I have a workout plan that I'm following. And I'm in week 4. So I've been going at it for the past... month, 5 days a week, and some weeks I've even gone on a Saturday or Sunday, so 5 to 6 days a week right now. And I'm eating like a cow, so it might not really show. Still have a bit of a gut here, so I'm eating just in order to lift more.
That's one thing that, sometimes people watch this podcast and they tell me, hey, it's a really good podcast, but one of the comments is, you guys both have guts.
Wow.
And both, I say, they include me.
Horrible.
And so that's something that we're both working on here. It's under construction currently. But one thing I was about to mention, though, is that you say you're eating like a cow. I'm wondering, what's your diet like these days? Because for the longest time, you went to meat-only diet.
Yeah. I try different things. I try many different things. At one point, I was strictly keto, and I did keto for a long time, and actually, my body responded very well to that. Then I tried a carnivore diet where I just had ground beef and steak pretty much all the time. Now, that's not the proper keto diet, carnivore diet, because the carnivore diet, you really should be eating like an animal, like, say, a cow or something else, from nose to tail. So, like, the internal organs as well, kidneys, liver, etc. But I wasn't really doing any of that. I was just eating steak, ground beef, and chicken here and there, and a lot of eggs.
No fish?
No. I like fish, but I don't cook it well.
You're not the biggest fan of fish, are you? I could tell you're not
sushi.
You're not the biggest fan of seafood at all, right?
If it's cooked for me, yes.
If it's cooked for you.
Generally, I don't cook it myself a whole lot. It's partially, I guess, also the smell.
I think that's the hardest meat to prepare personally.
Yeah, I messed it up. So
no, seriously, like I cook. People say chicken is the easiest meat to prepare.
Love it.
For me, no, chicken is harder than red meat is for me easier to prepare than chicken. Chicken is the second easiest. I would say fish is the hardest meats. Salmon.
That's the only fish he knows.
Trout or bass. Trout, bass. I forgot the other. It's early in the morning.
Tuna?
No, not tuna. It's salmon. What's the other one? Oh, tilapia. There we go. Tilapia.
Tilapia is horrible.
Really? We're Persian. We love tilapia. What are you talking about?
I barely eat tilapia.
What do you do for New Year's then?
Not eat fish.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, so I was about to say, what diet do you have now?
So now it's like anything kind of diet.
That's not good.
I do eat some junk here and there, But
vegetables, rice,
pasta, all of that stuff. And honestly, I've noticed that I don't sleep as well at night when I have carbs in my diet. So I had pasta and pizza past few nights, like last week, not like yesterday, but over the past week, I've had like pasta and pizza, and I had horrible sleep. Like, I'm not sleeping well.
What time are you eating the pasta and pizza?
Probably like 8 o'clock.
I don't see.
8,
That's
9.
too. I never eat dinner that late or that early. For some people, that's early. I eat dinner at like 6:37, and by the time I go to sleep, maybe I have a few nuts. Maybe.
Oh yeah, had them nuts. What a luxury lifestyle this guy lives. You know, he gets to eat at 6 o'clock, has a few nuts by 8.
First off, I cook my own food. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying. I
what do you think I do?
Your butler is standing.
Yeah.
As we're recording, his butler is standing here asking if he wants another glass of champagne.
Transparent butler. Anyways, no, but I just noticed that carbs and meat don't mix well. Although I grew up eating carbs pretty much. You know, rice and bread and this and that and pasta, living with my
Look
parents.
at the smile on your face as you're saying it.
It tasted fantastic.
There's no way to deny that carbs are awesome.
They are awesome.
They're amazing.
They're absolutely awesome.
Who can actually deny that? No one. They're not good for you, but they're awesome.
Yeah, I've just noticed that, especially in the past week, if I had pasta, pizza, anything with carbs, I did not sleep well. Actually, all of last week, I may have gotten 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, and the rest I was just tossing and turning because my body was, I don't know if it was digesting it, but it just didn't sit well. Whereas when I compare it to when I was keto or carnivore, I slept like a baby. I would get really, I slept well. And I think my body just doesn't respond well to carbs, and that was kind of the experiment on its own. Because up until now, I've had a carb diet, right? Growing up, I didn't really go without a carb. I never really tried a keto or carnivore diet until recently, like the past year. Up until then, it's always been carbs. So I guess I didn't really know how poorly I was sleeping until I cut it out, and I started sleeping a lot better on a carnivore or a keto diet, which pretty much there's no carbs at all, and I was actually getting pretty good sleep. And now, because I've been lifting and all of that, and I said, you know what, I don't want to have a deficit in my calorie intake. I was eating carbs and this and that, and my sleep has just been whack. Okay.
Anyways, we had minor technical difficulties. The camera battery died while we were talking about Ali's diet. That's how interesting the conversation was, where the camera decided to opt out of that conversation. So we're going to try clipping episodes sooner and try to provide some clips here and there. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate, as well as Remax. You can find my contact information along with Ali's contact information, Ali's Instagram, Ali's Gmail, Ali's phone number, Ali's office phone number, all of that in the description box along with my information. And thanks for tuning in. This is slowly growing. Actually, I don't know, Ali, if you knew, but we got another subscriber while we were recording. Awesome. So that's good. Slowly growing. And we're just here to inform the general public with real estate matters as we see it as experts, as real estate experts. We're here to inform you, and along the way, have a few laughs, talk about some other business-related matters, some other finance-related matters, his diet. And also, I want to start talking about a few stock things. Obviously, I'm not an expert in that, but I think I know a decent amount, and why not?